Biomarker testing identified my mom's cancer very early on in the process. It allowed us to act quickly with treatment, and it will elongate her life. My mother, Darlene, was diagnosed with a brain tumor in July of 2024. My mom is the best mom ever. I'm not biased at all. She has handled the past year, which has been hellish, with such grace and composure. So I was at a clay shooting tournament and I heard my phone going off in my bag, which was an indicator that something was wrong. I looked at my cell phone and I realized that my dad had called me 3 or 4 times and then sent me a text message to call him back immediately. He initially thought my mom had a stroke.
The day of the seizure, she had something on the stove and she was staring at me. She started to almost convulse. It was panic for me. Got on the phone with 911. They were able to walk me through what I should be doing.
The initial trip to the local hospital was followed by a CT scan, which showed a lesion on my mother's brain. She was transferred to a larger hospital with a larger medical network. At that time, the MRI showed what the doctors thought was a low-grade glioma. So my mom had the biopsy to identify what the mass was, whether it was benign or cancerous. The initial pathology came through and said that it was a low-grade glioma. When my parents went to their neuro-oncologist to discuss the findings of the biopsy, his initial assumption was that we were not going to need to have any extra surgeries or radiation or chemotherapy or look into anything for at least 5 years. So at that point in time, everybody took a sigh of relief and we were able to kind of calm down as a family and gather ourselves. My mom's neuro-oncologist thought it was best if we take the tissue sample and send it for biomarker testing, just to make sure that we don't miss anything. When the biomarker testing came through, it said that it was indeed cancer and that we were going to have to proceed with some sort of treatment. The biomarker testing showed glioblastoma. Speaking for myself, it was a day where I felt numb. All of those questions pour in and you wonder what we're going to do as a family, how we're going to treat this from a medical standpoint, what this means going forward for everybody. And once we were able to identify the type of cancer, it gave us clarity and control over my mom's path forward with her medical diagnosis.
Prior to the biomarker testing, we were lulled into a sense of everything is okay. Without the biomarker testing identifying specifically what was going on, I think precious time would have been wasted.
Biomarker testing identified my mom's cancer very early on in the process. It allowed us to act quickly with treatment, and it will elongate her life, which is very, very important to our family because my mom is the cornerstone. It also allowed us to take that testing and go for a second opinion, which our doctor at the time recommended. In the case of my mom, it became very obvious to our family quickly that regular imaging and symptoms were not enough to correctly diagnose her glioma at that point in time. Between the pathology and the biomarker testing, we were able to get a full picture, which moved us in the right direction as far as her medical treatments. So the doctors opted to treat my mother's cancer with radiation and chemo.
We take each day as it comes. We do not look down the road. We experience the day that we have in front of us.
My family doesn't want anybody else to go through what we are. We're a very strong group of people and we band together and we will fight on behalf of the brain tumor community. What I take most pride in is giving the National Brain Tumor Society and the brain tumor community a platform. I am a 4-time Connecticut state champion in sporting clays, and I have been part of the shooting community for a very long time. And when my mother was diagnosed, a few friends of mine suggested that maybe we put on a shoot as a benefit to some charity. We chose the National Brain Tumor Society specifically because they did have a focus on biomarker testing.
If this message can get out to get someone to look at this, if they're ever involved, and say, I need to have biomarker testing done, it was all worth it.
Not everyone knows to ask for biomarker testing, but they should. Identify your tumor, identify your options.